is Ancestry Part 4 for beginners. And the first about two-thirds of it, maybe a little less than that, is going to be comparing Ancestry with Family Search. And as Elder Esplin commented, this webinar is sponsored by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and that feature is available through Family Search for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So if you have that feature available to you, that's what this first part is going to be about. And then when I go into DNA, that is just general DNA with your Ancestry DNA test, or if you want to learn a little more about what you can see there if you haven't done it. Okay, but I will go ahead and get started. I just want to do a quick review of importing your family tree from Family Search to Ancestry. That can be done by clicking from the home page with the menu on the top left. You can click on trees and then go to import tree from Family Search. And that will prompt you to sign in to Family Search if you haven't already. So fill that in and sign in. From that point, you can name your tree. And so you can put your cursor in that empty box. In this case, I've named it Busby Family Tree. And I've checked the box that allows others to view the tree and click Save. If you want that tree to be private, then don't click that button. Turn that off. I think we're getting some rain here. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background here. All right, after you upload your tree, you will see a progress bar that shows that tree being uploaded. And once it hits 100%, you'll get a green check. It says your tree is finished being unloaded, and you can then click on that new tree that you've created from that upload. And it will take you into the family tree view. On the top left, you can see the name of the tree that you're viewing. If you have multiple trees in Ancestry, always just kind of glance up there to see which tree you are working with. You can also see that tree appears in the list of trees under the tree menu. I've got Busby Family Tree, and it's got a green check by it because that's the one that I'm currently in. If you want to switch to a different tree from this menu, that's where you do that. So when you first import your tree from Family Search, it's going to import the first 4 generations. You'll see I've got myself, Nancy Busby, number 1, and then my parents and grandparents and their parents and their parents. So those are the generations that get imported. Now I will go over how to turn on linking between Ancestry and Family Search. You want to make sure that your tree in Ancestry is linked to your Family Search account so that you can take advantage of some of the menu options that are there. Okay, jumping over to a person's profile page, you'll see this icon in the top right hand corner that is the Family Search icon. It's in this case, you're seeing a white tree with a black background. On each profile page, there will be a Family Search tree icon once you've signed into Family Search and linked your tree. If the icon is white, when you click on it, you'll be prompted to sign in to Family Tree. If you do not see the Family Tree icon on a person's profile page from the tree you're working in, that means that your Family Search account hasn't been linked with Ancestry. So you can, I actually go over those instructions in part 1. And if you need a review of that or you missed that and want to go back to it, I do have the slides available for part 1 at nancybusbyfamilyhistory.com. And you can, I believe that I've got the video they posted or that they recorded the last time I taught that also. So if you need a review of linking your tree, that's where you can see that information. Okay, once you click on that icon when the tree is white with the black background, it will prompt you to sign in if you aren't already to Family Search. So click sign in, put in your username and password, and then you'll see that the icon is green and there happens to be a check mark by this one. So once the icon is green, you know that person whose profile you're looking at has been linked with Family Tree. And when you click on that, you'll be able to open a menu. Also, the blue check mark, if you happen to see one of those, means that the temple ordinance work has been done. In this case, there is a blue check on the screen that we're looking at together here. All right, when you click on the green Family Search tree icon, it will open up this menu for you to have some options of what you can do between those two accounts. So we'll go over a few of those things now. One of them is adding generations to your ancestry tree from your Family Search account. When you're looking at your tree view, in order to add the next 4 generations from Family Search to your tree, you'll want to go to the end of the line. In this case, you'll see the little white arrow with the dashed lines around it. That indicates there are no generations above that person. So that is where I can add an additional 4 generations to my tree. So I'm going to click on that person's profile, bring up their summary card by clicking on their name, and then I'll click on profile to go to their profile page. So now I'm in that individual who is at the end of line, and I can go to the menu for Family Search and select Add Relatives from Family Search. So that's the 4th item down on that menu that you pull down. When you click on that, you will get a window that invites you to add an immediate family member, so you can do it by individual. Or in this case, we're going to talk about adding up to 4 generations of this person. So that little button is toggled on, and click continue. All right, once you have clicked continue, it will automatically upload the next 4 generations and take you back to the profile page. So you'll notice here that now there are parents listed for this individual on their profile page. And if you want to see this person in the tree and what was added, you can click on View in Tree. And this is in the toolbar that is in the middle, that's a kind of a medium to dark gray color just below their picture and their name. So if you want to view in tree, you just click on that and it will put this individual who we're looking at in the number 1 position. And then it will show the succeeding generations after that: parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great. In this particular case, in Family Search, I don't have any further generations, so that's why you don't see that extra generation beyond his great-grandfather. So it will only download the information that is available. So just be aware of that. The next thing that we're going to look at is clicking on Tree Search in the top right-hand corner. When you click on that, it opens up this panel on the right-hand side. And from here, you can navigate to the home person on your tree. So if you click on home person, in this case, it takes me back to me being the number 1 position of on that tree. And you can repeat that same process with each of the little arrows at the end by going to that, clicking on the name of the person and going to their profile page. And you can add 4 generations to each of those people on your tree. All right, we're going to go over this again now. Now I'm going to choose Joseph Covey to be the next person who I work on to add 4 generations. So I'm going to click on his name and go to his profile page by clicking on profile. And just a reminder, if you do open it and you see the white icon, that's prompting you to sign into Family Search. So take a note from this view, it does not show any parents in his family list. But I'm going to go here, and once I've linked it to my family tree, I will click on Add Relatives from Family Search. And then I'll select Add up to 4 generations for this person and continue. I do want to note that this option is only available when there are not generations above that person. So if I had filled in a father or mother for that person, that add up to 4 generations would be grayed out, so you wouldn't see that come up as an option. So if that happens, you've probably already added someone in the generation above them. But here we'll click continue, and it goes through the process of uploading the next 4 generations. I can see now on his profile page, it lists his parents. And when I click on View in Tree on that menu bar, I can see that it's added the next 4 generations from Joseph Covey, his father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and great-great-grandfather. And now this is the end of line because it's got the white arrows at the end of each of those generations. And I'll again go to the top right and click on Tree Search. And from there, I can return to the home person if I want to and see what the next generations I want to upload from my first 4 generations of tree. Okay, so here we have me again in the number 1 position on this tree. And I can see all of the other people at the end of line that I haven't added the additional 4 generations to. You'll notice that these 2, Andrew Busby and Joseph Covey, that I've uploaded and connected through Family Search the next 4 generations, those boxes have turned a dark gray with the white arrow. So if I were to click on Joseph Covey and that little gray arrow, now that opens up the next 3 generations to view on this same tree. So, and I can toggle those on and off by just clicking on those arrows back and forth, depending on which one I want to open up. And you just continue that process through every end of line that you have, and it uploads the 4 generations at a time for each person on your tree beyond yourself and your second great-grandparent. Okay, now I want to go over adding an individual to your ancestry tree from your family search tree. So sometimes there's a specific individual that you'd like to add to your ancestry tree that you have in family search, and you can do that also by following similar steps. You'll click on the individual's name, open their summary card, and under the tools menu on their summary card, you can click on view that person's family tree. This just shows you one other way to get to the tree, opposed to going to the profile page first, because that summary card does have some shortcuts you can use. Okay, so when I click to go to his tree, I've got it lists his wife and his children. And again, just noting, we don't see that last generation because there wasn't one in family search. But if I want to go to this person at the end of the tree and go to his William Busby's profile page, and I'll click on the menu, and again go to Add Relatives from Family Search. So in this case, this William Busby has a spouse and just one child, my direct ancestor, and I've got some other information that I'd like to add from Family Search. So I click on Add Relatives from Family Search. When this comes up, those items that we saw previously, that's what we're going to focus on now. So I push the little button and turn that green to add an immediate family member. And it will list the other family members that are in Family Search that are associated with that person. But keep in mind that you can only add them one person at a time. So push the button of the person you want to add and then click Continue. It will bring up a preview of that individual and verify that you want to add them to your ancestry tree with the father, William Busby, and the mother, Mary Roberts. If this child had a different mother who I haven't entered in yet, I have the option to select the father with an unknown mother. So you make sure you have the one that you want selected and then click Save. And then you repeat Add Relative steps from the Family Tree menu and do that with each child that you want to add, and then they'll appear one by one. So I went through and added Isabella, and then I added Thomas Ian, and then Agnes Elizabeth. So I went through that same step repeated each time for each individual.
Nancy?
Yes.
There's a question in the chat. This is an amazing feature. Is there any way to access these features if one is not an LDS member?
I believe the answer to that question is no, unfortunately. And it is a really cool feature. It would be nice if there was a way. Right now, the reason that Ancestry has it set up that way is because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has a oh, help me out, Sister Esplin.
They're a partner.
Partnership. Yeah, they've made arrangements of a specific partnership between Family Search and Ancestry, and as of right now, that is only available to members of the LDS Church through the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it's the way that Ancestry and the church have made that specific arrangement. So that's the reason behind that. And I guess being sponsored by the church, I can add, if you're interested in knowing how to become a member of the church, you're welcome to contact one of us or a missionary, and we can talk to you about that. There are individuals out there who are interested in that, so I just want you to know that option is available to you.
Nancy, let me also just mention that you can raise your hand, but we can't do anything about it. So if you'd like to make a comment or a question, you can put it in the Q&A and we'll have Nancy answer it, or you can put it in the chat, but we can't do anything other than notice that you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. If you want to put comments or questions in the Q&A, Sister Esplin and Elder Farnsworth are going to try to watch that and field that and try to answer questions as we go. And I will leave some time at the end for some question and answer. We can go back, and if you have specific things you want to see again, or have other questions that have come up that I can answer at the end, we'll have some time for that too. Thank you. And I do agree with a commenter. It is an amazing feature. It would be great to have that available for more people. But I do want to go over it again, because sometimes people like to kind of see that process go through again. So let's practice that again. Click on the family tree icon, add relatives from Family Search, add an immediate family member, and choose the individual you want to add by highlighting that button in green, clicking on it. Click Continue. It gives you a preview of the information that will be added from Family Search. And then you select the appropriate parent or parents with that person and click save. And then that adds that child to that family. And you do the same steps for the next child. Select the parents, click save, and then that next child appears with the family. And just continue to repeat those steps. If there's anyone that isn't brought in from Family Search, when you upload the 4 generations at a time, this is how you'll go about getting them included on your ancestry tree. Okay, I'm going to go over comparing a person and sharing sources between Ancestry and Family Search now. Again, you go to that family tree, family search icon in the top right-hand corner, but this time you'll select compare person on Family Search, the second one down. This is going to show your individual in Family Search, and Family Search has what they refer to as a PID, a person ID number. When you're in Ancestry, it shows up as an FSID, Family Search ID. That kind of gives you the indication that you are looking on the left for the individual that is in Family Search. And the person on the right is your person in Ancestry. And as you scroll down from this window, you will get down to the sources. And on the left is the information in Family Search if you want to share that information or add it from Family Search to Ancestry. You will select that gray button to put a green check mark in it, and it automatically populates that information to your person on your tree in Ancestry. And you can go through each of those items and decide which ones you want to share. In this case, I'm going to select all of them on the left that I want to add to my person in Ancestry. And once I'm satisfied with that, you'll want to, sometimes there's a big long list of sources, so make sure you scroll to the bottom and click on Save Changes. Now those resources or sources from Family Search show up under Other Sources from the person's profile page under Facts. So that menu for Facts under Sources, Other Sources is anything that came from outside Ancestry is where you'll find those. And you can click on them and look at them again or edit them if you want to. Okay. Another way things might turn up or show up when you click on Compare, sometimes you will see the Family Search tree icon, and it will have information underneath it about changing history. And then on the right, it will actually tell you, here's your person from your tree in Ancestry. If you click on Change History, it's going to open up the Family Search window. And this gives the list of all of the changes that have been made in Family Search to that individual and who made those changes. So you can go from Ancestry while you're comparing the two you can go into Family Search and do a little bit of looking to see what's there and why it's there if you're not sure if it's a source you want to add over. And by clicking on back to the individual that's in blue, that takes you to their name in Family Search. So you would need to go to your other tab where Ancestry is open to get back to your Ancestry tab. All right, ordinance details is another option. It's prompting me to sign in. That does happen occasionally when you go in and out of Ancestry between the two. All right, so one of the things you'll see is ordinance details complete. These are the temple ordinances for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. When you click on that from the individuals page, it will open up another window and take you to the ordinances tab under family search. So you can see what was done in family search. All right, viewing a person on family search. From the menu, we will now look at viewing this person on family search. It has the option to just click on that middle menu, and that takes you to the person's person page in family search. So you can scroll up and down and take a look, do some comparing visually besides just the side-by-side that it will give you in Ancestry. I'd also want to point out that when we clicked on latest changes, when you're on a person's person page in family search, those latest changes are on the right-hand side under some of the menu latest changes. So any time you can see those in family search. And sometimes that's helpful to understand when you see information has changed. You can go there and find out why someone might have changed that information. All right. There might be instances where you need to disconnect the link between Ancestry and family search. In this case, I am showing an example where up in the right-hand corner by the family search icon, I see a little white exclamation point. And I'm trying, and I might kind of go back and forth between the two to try to figure out what's going on. And if I determine that that is a duplicate person or I've connected them to the wrong person in family search, in this instance, I'm like, well, I thought that my Samuel B. Gentry had ordinance information, and I thought I knew who the parents were, so what's going on here? In this case, I've decided after doing some research, I want to disconnect the person from family search. So if you click on that, it will open a window, just double checking to make sure that you want to disconnect this individual. It doesn't delete the information in either place. It just takes away that connection between the two. And click on disconnect if you ever need to do that. Oops, let's see. The next topic is linking a person from your tree and Ancestry to family search. So if you've added people on your Ancestry tree and you're not getting that pull down menu, this is how you'll connect them. When I click on the family tree icon, if they haven't been connected or linked to someone in my family tree in family search, it's going to open up this window and it will say find best matches, and it's going to pull up an individual with the similar information, name, place, dates, that is in family search. Or I can select find match by family search ID. So if you know that 7-digit ID number in family search, you can type that in too. So that's a couple of different ways to do that. Once I select if I select the individual, they bring up as a suggestion by clicking on that button. It will bring up the match information from family search on the left so that I can review it and compare it. It does have a scroll bar to go up and down so you can see everything. And once I've determined that, yes, these are the same individuals in those two places, then I will want to say connect person. Even though some of the information that you see there is a little bit different, maybe I've added information on my Ancestry tree that hasn't been updated in family search yet, but I know those are the same individual, so I will want to connect that person. So I click connect person. Okay, now I can see that there's an indication here that a check mark that shows me that ordinance work has been done for that person, and I know they're linked with family search now. One of the other things that you'll want to do is adding a new person in family search from your tree and Ancestry. It is also possible to do that. Again, you go to your family tree icon, select Add Relatives from Family Search, which is the fourth menu item down. And in this case, I ask it to find the best matches, but perhaps I look at the information and determine, well, these are two different people who had similar names. I want to add this individual I have in my ancestry tree to Family Search now. So I'm going to click on Add to Family Search because that person that I have in my ancestry tree doesn't exist in Family Search right now. It is going to ask me some questions to verify that who that person is and how those relationships will show up in Family Search. And after I have reviewed that and I feel like that information is correct, I'll click on Add to Family Search. And then it lets me know that person was added to Family Search with those relationship conditions that it listed in the previous window. And click OK. All right. This is an example where I see a green arrow next to the Family Search icon. And if I click on that, I can see now that it's telling me that there are temple ordinances that can be requested and are available. And if you click on that, that will take you into Family Search. So you can go through, follow the steps in Family Search to look at ordinance work and take that to the temple. So it's nice to have the two programs communicating back and forth. So you're seeing, live, once you have that link established between individuals, you can see live what the condition of that ordinance work is. Okay, so the last little bit here, I'm going to do a DNA overview. And if you were listening in at the very beginning, if you had joined a little early, we were actually talking about that I probably need to create a session that is dedicated to just DNA because with the time we have and the information that I put in here, it's a very quick and brief overview just to kind of dip your feet in and get you going with it. But there's a lot of things I can cover. So I'm going to work on putting together a class, a session for the hour time that is dedicated to just looking at your DNA and ancestry and how you can use that to further your family history. Okay, first thing I want to do is bring this video over. And it's just a little 4.5 minute video that gives you an overview of DNA and ancestry, and then we'll go over some of the features that you'll see in your account.
One of the great new additions to genealogy in the last few years has been the advent of DNA, most specifically autosomal.
Sister Busby, we've lost the sound.
Are in. You'll go click it, and there you'll be. And you'll have that magic answer as to where your ancestors came from. You'll probably find out that myth in your family, and we've all got it, that you're Native American may not be true, but the other information you're going to find is great. This is an example, it's mine. I find out that 51% of my DNA is Europe West. That means about half my family, or at least the DNA I inherited, comes from Germany in that area. Once you start looking at your results, you may want to start digging deeper. Click on one of the areas and it'll give you a little bit more information. It'll show you the geographic regions and talk a little bit about the places those peoples came from. Now remember, these results can go back hundreds and hundreds of years. So even if you don't know any of your ancestors were from Germany, this could be further back. It just means you need to keep looking. Ancestry DNA looks for DNA samples in about 26 different regions. Now we're always updating, and when we update, we will go apply those tests to your current samples. So don't worry. If we make improvements, you'll see those improvements. But this gives you an idea of the different areas that we look for. Now, DNA is an interesting thing. You get half from your father and you get half from your mother, but it doesn't always come up in equal parts. Here you're looking at mine, my husband's, and my son's. Sometimes as time goes on, you just lose things. For example, the Italy Greece that I have in my DNA and my husband's doesn't show up in my son. But he seems to get most of his Finland, Northwest Russia DNA. You'll even find between siblings, the percentages change. So don't expect that everybody gets the same thing. In fact, you probably want to test all your brothers and sisters because they may match people that you don't. And you never know where the next clue is going to come from. Or look at it this way. Everybody's got those little pieces of information. You get about 50% from your mother and about 50% from your father. But think about your grandparents. At best, you're getting around 25%. The further back you go, the littler and littler the pieces are. It's going to be really hard to match further back. That's why the more testing you do, the better. Now, one of the awesome things that happen is if you've got a tree and you've been building it back and not just that one side, you don't want to go down just one line, do the whole thing. Remember, your tree is a big, big event. You're going to start getting matches, and they're going to tell you who you're related to. And if you're lucky, you're going to find hints. And what that means is somebody in their tree, this distant cousin of yours, can trace themselves back to the same ancestor you have. Now, that assumes that everybody's done their research correctly, but it's a pretty good clue if you're trying to prove a connection that you haven't been able to prove before. I'm pretty sure that George Gillespie is my 5th great-grandfather, but I haven't been able to document it exactly. I don't have the paperwork together to make sure that that's happening. But I have found DNA samples where I've matched people on that name. Now, that doesn't prove it for sure, but that's a pretty good clue that I'm on the right track. And that makes me feel good. I know that I'm on the right track and I can keep searching for documents. And in another example, Mary W. Martin is my 2nd great-grandmother. And I'm pretty sure that her father is Bird Martin, and he has a brother named Valentine. The best names in my family. But I haven't really been able to find the paperwork to really solidify that theory. DNA, though, gives me a clue. I found multiple cousins who've come back and they've documented themselves back to Thomas Martin. So I think I might be on the right path. Now, we may be related on a different line. There was a lot of people intermarrying in rural areas, so you never know. But it's a clue that I'm on the right track. And if you're on the right track, you know you're going to keep looking.
Okay. In the slide presentation, if you wanted to review this or any of the other videos that are in Ancestry Academy about DNA, I do have this live link that will take you to the video, and then you can explore other videos in Ancestry Academy. I do want to comment that I don't work for Ancestry. I'm just representing teaching a class about the things that I've learned by using DNA through Ancestry, and I've downloaded my DNA file from Ancestry and uploaded it to other DNA sites. So this isn't the one and only way to do DNA research, but let's go through some of the things that your DNA that is in Ancestry can do for you. The DNA information is found under on the menu bar on the top left under DNA. And the first place you'll want to go is your DNA results summary. This takes you to a window, and on the top right-hand side, you'll see that you have some settings that you can set controls for how you get information on your DNA or how you share it. So you'll want to click on that and go through and make sure all of the information that you have associated with your DNA on your tree, or excuse me, in Ancestry is associated with your tree. Right here, you'll see tree link. This test is linked to Nancy Busby, and specifically with this tree, Busby Tally family tree. And then as you scroll down, you'll see some other preferences for how it's displayed. Your display name and how your matches are identified to other people is listed here. And sharing of traits. Scroll down some more. And this is where you will see where you can download DNA data. This is, I recommend that you do this, even if you're not going to upload it to another site. It will just give you a file of that DNA information that you paid for that you can have on your hard drive if for some reason anything ever happens to it with Ancestry and you need to re-upload it, or you want to upload it to another site. Not all sites will upload DNA from another company, but many will. And then, of course, if you determine that you don't want to have your DNA test results out there, you can delete them from this site. So go through those different options and make sure all of your preferences are set up the way that you are the most comfortable. All right, to go back to your Ancestry DNA, it is the back button at the top left in blue and white. And we're going to go over DNA matches. So when you click on the DNA summary from the DNA menu, it will take you to this page, and in the center in the middle are the DNA matches. If you scroll down from there, you can, if it didn't already appear, there's a green button that says view all DNA matches. Maybe you've done this before, but let's look at a couple of things that you might see there. When you click to look at all of your DNA matches, you'll see that it's presented to you in a list form. And there are some filters that you can filter this information by, and that is something that each individual needs to look at and determine how they want to see the DNA connections that are made through Ancestry and other people who have done their DNA tests. There is another menu here, another option on that menu, which is map. And if you click on map, that is going to open up a map view of your DNA matches, and it shows the number of DNA matches and the general regions where those matches occur around the world. You can filter by all matches. You can look at just first cousins, second, third, fourth, etc. So there are different ways to filter that information that you see. If I wanted to look at the matches in England, if I'm interested in furthering my research in England, I might be pretty interested in looking at the DNA matches there. So I'll click on that number 17 in green that is over the British Isles. And when you click on that, it's going to zoom in on that area, and it starts breaking down those DNA matches by individual in region. And as I click on them, it zooms in even closer until I can see a little icon with a person's face if they have a picture loaded, or just their initials if they don't. When you click on one of those, it's going to open up a preview of who that person is and how you might be related to them and where they live. You can click on back to matches, or if you're more interested in looking at them, you can click on their name and open up this page that compares your information with theirs. There are some menus here, ethnicity, shared matches between each other that are good to explore. Then you can that will help you determine which part of the family that's one way to determine which part of the family your connection is. If this is an individual that you haven't ever met before and don't know their name. You also have the opportunity from this page to send an email through Ancestry by clicking on contact that individual's name. On the left is going to show if you have any common ancestors. In this case, it says we can't find any common ancestors between her and I. After you've explored some of the things you can see there, click the back button in the top left, and that takes you back to the list and map option. Something else I want to mention while I'm on this page is I'll just go over these first couple because there's a few different things you see here. One, I've got my daughter has done her DNA and it is in green and it says unlinked tree. This means that she has created a tree in Ancestry, but she has not linked her DNA results with a specific tree under her profile. If you recall, when we went to settings, one of those options was to make sure that your DNA test is linked with a specific tree. And that is the tree that it looks at. Do you have names in common with other people whose DNA matches yours? So in this case, here's an individual who has not linked a tree they have. And here is another one. The one below that is in gray and it has a lock and it says unlinked tree. That means that this individual has a tree, but it isn't public. So that little gray lock means that they haven't made their tree public. And then if a person doesn't have a tree uploaded in Ancestry at all, then it will tell you that they have no trees. So there's no tree information to compare between your tree and theirs. That's something that I always glance at to see who I want to try to do these comparisons with and take a look at. Okay, through lines is another great feature that you will see in Ancestry. And through lines, and I know it's a little bit fuzzy, but I think you'll see it when you're looking at your tree view. These little blue icons, if you blow it up, you get a little fuzzy blue circle with 3 little human outlines. They're bust just in that little circle. That icon indicates that there are through line relationships of DNA that are in common with that individual on that tree. If I want to look at those, I click on the name of the person on my tree. It opens the summary page and it will give me this option of through lines, which I can then click on that and open up, and it gives me the option to view the through lines. So I'm going to click on that. What this does is it creates a tree that goes down from this person, okay? It is going to show me the relationships from him and through to me. It says, descended from my second great grandfather, I have 51 DNA matches that are that other people have connected their trees back through the same second and third great grandfather as me. And any of these little arrows you see, these down and side arrows or carrots, you can click on those and expand to see more information. Up at the top next to relationships. So this is one way to view this information. You can also click on list and it will bring up a list of the individuals that you have in common with these through lines and how many matches are available. And as you click on those down arrows, it will open up that individual and show each of those matches. All right, so that is how you can really hone in on, I want to know people who I'm sharing DNA with on this Eli Dempsey family line, because I'm doing research there and I've hit some dead ends. Man, I want to make contact with somebody who knows something new. So that's why I would use this to get to those individuals. A little more on exploring through lines from the main page of the DNA summary. On the right, next to DNA matches, there is Explore Through Lines. When you click on that, it brings up each of the generations from your parents all the way back. So I have one father and one mother, and then their parents or my grandparents are listed, and you just keep scrolling down to see each direct line ancestor. When you get to an ancestor who you're interested in seeing what is available about them, you hover your mouse over that name, and it's going to highlight that name in a dark highlight, and it will give you a preview of how many DNA matches there are and how closely they are. And if you want to explore that some more, you can click on that individual then, and it will open up a window that takes you back to that same relationships tree or a list that you can look at and explore these through lines in the DNA matches that you share with a specific person on your tree. I think that going this method is a great way to quickly identify maybe you have hundreds or even thousands of DNA matches. Go to the people on your tree who you're most interested in collaborating with and trying to share information back and forth. Okay, you can click on any of the arrows to find DNA matches on this tree. So you'll see if I clicked on the arrow that takes me to me, my father and grandfather, and then his father. Well, now I can see my grandfather's siblings and the DNA matches that come directly through some of his siblings and who they are. I can also go up the tree further from that individual back to the second great-grandfather or the siblings of my great-grandfather. So all of those options are available to you. It's something you really need to just go in and start exploring and see what you can find, because everyone's tree is going to look a little bit different. All right, comparing your DNA to an individual DNA match is the last thing that we have time to go over today. So when I'm on this relationships list, if I have kind of drilled down through some of these relationships and common DNA links, I might get to an individual. I'm going to look at Eric Titus. He is descended from one of the siblings of my grandfather, and I've never met him before. I can click on his name from that list, and it will bring up the comparison between yourself and that DNA match. On the left, you'll see I've got common ancestors here, Thomas Brogan Busby and Elizabeth Elmira Covey. So and it's giving me an estimate of how we might be related through that line based on our information and our trees and combined with the DNA profiles for each of us. And and it also shows the tree so this is Eric's tree and shows how he connects in with those common ancestors. So I can kind of follow that and figure out where our common ancestor is and how he's descended compared to mine. As you scroll down, it also will give you a list of shared surnames to explore and the number of people that appear on both of our trees in common. And there's also a map that is going to show where these individuals originate from, the birth locations for people that we both share on our trees. If I want to get a hold of Eric, if I see something interesting on his tree that I want to find out more about, perhaps I never knew who the wife of Ralph Covey Busby was, my great uncle, and I want to know more information about Edna and his family, their family. I can message Eric by clicking on message on the top right, and it will open up this little email window. And this email is through the Ancestry system. So they won't see your personal email address, nor you theirs. It will just show up in your messages in Ancestry as you correspond with one another. If you click on the ethnicity tab that compares the relationships, you'll see the comparison between you and Eric's DNA ethnicity comparison of the countries that show you're descended from. And you can also look at shared matches between you and that person. And then just continue scrolling down to explore all of the possible matches that you have between the two of you. And that might give you other people to look whose trees are linked, who you would want to look at and do some comparison that you share DNA with. So that is just enough information to get your feet wet and start with looking at that. But today, with our time together, we went over comparing Ancestry and Family Search and some tips on how to use your Ancestry DNA test to get in touch with people and help with your research. This was the fourth of 4 classes for the beginning series of Ancestry. And if you have questions, you can contact me by email or view this presentation at nancybusbyfamilyhistory.com/ancestry.